It's easy for them to do. They're adept at doing a ditty, getting rid of you and not having no handprints on it. Like this is how they traffic. And so you will have to really not be scared, not be acting like you not scared. You'd have to really be too stupid to be scared.
Pig parties, the kind of whispers that make Hollywood shiver. Those secret after-hours spots where the rules get thrown out the window and reputations are made or destroyed. Forget red carpets or flashy premieres. This is where the real Hollywood allegedly happens. Behind velvet doors and off-camera smiles, those initiation rooms are said to decide who makes it big and who fades into silence. K.A. once said that the real game doesn't play out on set, it plays out in those rooms, and now comes the shocker. The blogs are dragging David's name into this dark mix, all because of the heartbreaking story of Celeste Riva Hernandez, a 15-year-old girl found unalive inside his Tesla. Her cause of death still listed as deferred, but the connection to him confirmed by friends who swore they thought she was his college girlfriend. They called David shy, gentle, and quiet. But the streets aren't buying it. They're whispering that his silence might not be innocence, it might be guilt. And Katt's angle hits hard, because in Hollywood, nothing comes for free. You want fame, power, the spotlight, allegedly you gotta pay up somehow. And now people are saying Celeste wasn't just another tragic story. She might have been a sacrifice, part of one of those infamous pig parties. Wild, right?
Now, there are individuals who have looked to clues in his shows or his songs for alleged connections to Celeste, and to be clear, nothing has officially been verified. Here's the thing, even if you look at lyrics from his song Romantic Homicide from back in 2022, this is what seems to be creating the conversation. The lyrics say, I mean, even in the back of my mind, you died, and I didn't even cry. No, not a single tear. But again, nothing remotely to suggest this has anything to do with Celeste.
But the timing is too crazy to ignore. David went from a TikTok nobody to an Interscope artist with millions of streams and a debut album, all in the same short window. Something about that glow-up feels off. That's when everything completely collapses for Celeste. One minute she's just another teenage girl trying to find her way, and the next, gone. Missing reports pile up, people beg for answers, and then out of nowhere she's found in his trunk. Can you imagine? And instead of a real, full-scale investigation, all we got were half-baked updates and dodged questions. No official statement from David, no detailed word from the coroner, just cold, eerie silence, and that silence is exactly why people can't let this story go. When Katt Williams talked about Hollywood's dark side and its so-called rituals, fans instantly started connecting dots again. Whitney before her comeback, Kanye losing his mother, Michael gone right before his tour. It's the same chilling pattern. A star on the rise, a sudden tragedy, and a cloud of whispers about sacrifice. Now those same whispers are circling around David. People claim Celeste wasn't just an innocent victim, she was allegedly the price of admission, the entry fee to those creepy pig parties that Katt warned everyone about. So what are these pig parties really? The name sounds goofy, but in Hollywood gossip circles, it's been around for decades. Some say it's part hazing, part humiliation, part ritual, and part straight-up freak fest for the rich and powerful. Allegedly, once you're invited, you either play the game or you're out, and being out can mean your whole career vanishes overnight. And according to the whispers, these aren't your average Hollywood get-togethers, and no champagne, no DJs, no fun, just darkness, secrets, and people doing anything to stay famous. These so-called pig parties allegedly go way darker than anyone wants to believe. They're not just wild nights, they're said to be tests built to push stars, execs, and desperate up-and-comers past every boundary they've got. The lights go low, the cameras roll, and people get caught doing things they can never take back. Why? Simple. Control. Once there's footage, there's leverage. You ever try to say no later? Too late. There's already a tape waiting to ruin you, and the craziest part? These stories didn't just pop up yesterday. People have been whispering for decades. Some say the infamous Playboy Mansion was just a polished-up pig party spot in disguise. And remember Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut? Conspiracy heads swear he wasn't making fiction. They say he was exposing the exact rituals Hollywood's been trying to keep under wraps for years. And it doesn't stop there. Artists like Jaguar Wright, Orlando Brown, and even Katt Williams himself have all painted shocking pictures of these closed-door freak shows where nothing, and I mean nothing, is off limits. But here's the twist, and it's not really about pleasure or scandal, it's about power. Allegedly, these parties are initiation ceremonies, a way to break new talent down and make them obedient before building them up. And that's why Katt keeps saying Hollywood doesn't reward talent, it rewards obedience. And when someone skyrockets to fame overnight, the streets start side-eyeing, asking, what did they leave behind at one of those parties? And when it comes to David, the theory gets chilling.
Charles, any idea who is behind this swatting?
No idea. I mean, we've asked police. They want to try and track those things down when it happens, but they don't know on this one. And they, I think they figured out pretty quickly when David's parents came to the door that that's what was going on here. They didn't see any activity, and the area where their home is in a very rural area. It's not like there's a lot of houses around. So, when police are pulling up, there's no activity. It would have been pretty obvious to them if there was some crisis going on as they pulled up.
Sure, but you can't escape the date, September 18th, and it's a day after the LA house that he was renting was raided. Coincidence or something more?
It does seem strange to say that this is coincidence, and his parents said to the police, somebody is messing with us. And clearly, even if David wasn't at the house, his parents are aware of what's going on back in LA.
The talk is that Celeste wasn't just his girlfriend. She was allegedly brought into that scene, part of a twisted setup that changed everything. Her fake ID, her constant appearances at clubs and industry events, all while being just 15. It's chilling. Every detail of her story adds fuel to this haunting rumor that Celeste was moving through spaces way too grown for her age. And that's the most disturbing part, because in gossip circles, these alleged pig parties are said to thrive on that very imbalance. Powerful men, vulnerable young girls, and a whole machine that keeps the truth buried. If David really showed up at one of those secret gatherings, and if Celeste was truly there with him, then her tragic ending starts looking less like an accident and more like a consequence. And that's exactly why Katt's warning hit so deep. Allegedly, Hollywood doesn't just party, it ritualizes. Once you cross that line and step into those rooms, there's no walking out the same again. And here's where things get personal. David isn't some washed-up name chasing fame. He's the quiet kid who blew up overnight on TikTok. One viral hit later, he's signing a major label deal, dropping an album, and living every dream people scroll for hours wishing they had. To fans, it looked like a Cinderella story. But to the gossip world, it looked like something else entirely. A shortcut with a heavy price tag. Then enters Celeste Riva Hernandez, just 15, missing multiple times throughout 2024, and later found unalive inside David's Tesla. The timeline doesn't sit right. Friends swear they saw her at his side at clubs, industry mixers, and even age-restricted parties. For someone her age, that's not just suspicious, it's downright alarming. Everybody thought she was 19, a USC college girl living her best life. But she wasn't. She was just 15, allegedly slipping into grown-up spaces with fake IDs and blending right in. And guess who was always close behind? David. That's exactly why people can't shake off the sacrifice theory. Katt Williams always warned that Hollywood doesn't hand out fame for free. There's always a trade-off. And in this dark version of events, Celeste was allegedly that trade. Her sudden disappearance, the multiple missing person reports, and that heartbreaking ending all lined up perfectly with the exact moment David's career started exploding. The question basically writes itself. Was she collateral nor was she currency? And when you look closer, the symbolism sends chills. David's breakout song, Romantic Homicide, includes that haunting lyric, "In the back of my mind, I do." Back then, fans thought it was just a dramatic heartbreak line, nothing more. But now, people are replaying it like it's a warning he left in plain sight. His alter ego, Eat Tommy, drenched in blood-red imagery and violent undertones, suddenly doesn't feel like harmless creativity anymore. It feels like a message bleeding through the art. Even his old TikTok, where he joked about chopping chicken if she talks to other dudes, has resurfaced and been called a massive red flag. No one's saying there's proof. There isn't. But when it comes to Hollywood conspiracies, proof isn't what people look for, it's patterns. And this pattern feels all too familiar to the culture. Fame, tragedy, silence, and then nothing but rumors left to fill the gaps. It's the same chilling pattern. A rising star, a sudden tragedy, complete silence from the team. And somehow, the career just keeps climbing higher until the whispers start closing in. So when people claim that Celeste was David's alleged sacrifice, they're not pointing to hard proof. They're talking about that eerie alignment of fame and death. The theory says one life was cut short, so another could rise. And if that happened at one of those mysterious pig parties that Katt Williams keeps warning about, then Celeste's death starts to look a lot less like an accident, and a lot more like an initiation, allegedly. But here's why this theory about David and Celeste refuses to fade. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. Hollywood's history is littered with stories just like this, with stars allegedly giving something up right before their biggest breakthroughs. Take Whitney Houston, for example. To this day, people still side-eye the fact that she passed away the same weekend Clive Davis hosted his pre-Grammy party, her body upstairs, while the industry toasted downstairs. Then, just a few years later, her daughter Bobbi Kristina was found in hauntingly similar circumstances. Conspiracy circles call it the double sacrifice, a generational price to keep the machine spinning. And then there's Kanye West. He said it himself right out loud that his mother Donda was his sacrifice. Whether you believe it or not, the timeline fits eerily well. Right after her passing, his career skyrocketed from rising rapper to global mogul. Katt Williams always points to Kanye as proof that even insiders know the game isn't clean. And we can't forget Aaliyah. Officially, her death was a tragic 2001 plane crash. But many still whisper about the shady details surrounding it. Some claim it wasn't just bad luck. It was part of something much darker, allegedly. Every story, every tragedy follows the same unsettling rhythm: success, death, and silence. And that's exactly why the streets can't stop connecting David and Celeste's names to this haunting Hollywood pattern.
New footage has surfaced that potentially shows Celeste Rivas Hernandez's perhaps final movements caught on tape before she vanished and was ultimately found dead in a car registered to singer David. This, along with new details about that car and how long it may have been abandoned, are giving us a better sense of a timeline as everyone searches.
There were reports that Aaliyah's pilot was pressured to overload the plane, and her career was skyrocketing right before that flight. The tragedy turned her into an icon overnight and left her lane wide open for others in the industry to take over. And it doesn't stop there. Even Michael Jackson fits the same eerie pattern. His sudden death in 2009 came just before his massive comeback tour, one that was set to bring in billions. His autopsy called it a homicide by propofol overdose, but for the conspiracy crowd, it looked like something way deeper, that a megastar who might have been taken out for being too powerful, too independent, too untouchable. And then there's the wild side of the industry and those private, high-profile parties everyone whispers about. People still talk about Diddy's infamous gatherings, rumored to be more than just parties. Insiders like Jaguar Wright claimed in interviews that half the industry was being controlled because of what went down at those freaky events. And the phrase pig party? It's starting to sound like the new, nastier version of that same twisted setup, a place where artists allegedly get tested, trapped, and tied down forever. So when fans hear that David was often spotted with Celeste at clubs and exclusive events she shouldn't have even been allowed into, the picture starts to click. It mirrors those same tragic patterns we've seen before. A bright young star, sudden chaos, silence from their circle, and whispers of something ritualistic lurking underneath. That's what keeps this story alive. The parallels. Because people look back and say, if it happened with Whitney, with Aaliyah, with Kanye's mom, with Michael, why couldn't it happen again? Allegedly, Hollywood doesn't invent new scandals, it recycles them. And Celeste's name, heartbreakingly, might just be the latest added to that cursed list. At the end of the day, what keeps everyone talking isn't just Celeste's tragedy or David's rise. It's how familiar it all feels, like deja vu in the worst way. Another young life gone too soon, another artist rising just as the dust settles, and another chapter where Hollywood's dirtiest whispers line up a little too perfectly with real-life headlines. Allegedly, Katt Williams has been warning for years that Hollywood doesn't run on talent, it runs on tolls. He swears that everyone pays a price to play the game, and if you don't, you get locked out. Whether you think he's spilling truth or just stirring the pot, the Celeste situation makes his words sound way less like comedy and a whole lot more like prophecy, especially for David. And what's the loudest part of this whole story? His silence. He hasn't spoken up, hasn't posted, hasn't offered a single denial or explanation. His tour, canceled, his lease, terminated. And just like that, he vanished. To his fans, that might look like grief or maybe even legal advice, but to the gossip world, it looks like guilt, because let's be real. If he's innocent, why not say so? If Celeste's death was truly an accident, why stay quiet while the rumors explode louder every day? Every second he stays silent, the whispers grow sharper teeth. And for Celeste, the legacy is just heartbreaking. She was only 15, missing multiple times, allegedly sneaking into grown-up events, chasing dreams in rooms she should have never been near. She had her whole future ahead of her, but instead her story's being told through conspiracy threads instead of tributes. That's the saddest part, how gossip has overtaken her grief. And as for Hollywood, those pig party rumors aren't fading anytime soon. If anything, they're spreading faster, whispered in podcasts, dissected on TikTok, hinted at in interviews. Everyone's starting to wonder what's really going on behind those gated mansions and closed studio doors. The silence, the coincidences, the careers that rise right after tragedy, it's too much to ignore. If anything, Celeste's story just poured gasoline on an already burning fire. People were already side-eyeing Diddy's so-called gatherings, already replaying Jaguar Wright's wild confessions, already remembering Kanye's haunting words about his mother Donda, and now a 15-year-old girl found in a Tesla tied to a rising star. That's the kind of headline that makes every old rumor feel brand new again. So what happens next? Maybe nothing. Maybe it all fades away like so many other Hollywood tragedies and swallowed by time and silence. Or maybe someone else steps up, another insider with nothing left to lose. Another voice brave enough or reckless enough to pull back the curtain like Katt Williams did, willing to risk everything just to say the things the industry desperately wants buried. And that's the real irony here. The more Hollywood stays quiet, the louder the whispers become. Every denial, every no comment, every mysterious vanishing act only makes people talk more. And right now, those whispers are saying the same chilling thing, that Celeste wasn't just a victim, she was allegedly a sacrifice. And if that's true, then David's rise isn't the start of a fairy tale. It's the beginning of a curse.